will be giving the instructions, and the runners will be opening the 3 treasure chests to start here. We'll see what will be helping them out along the way. We know the magic key will be in the upper right end, and then we've got 2 additional items. We'll see how they assist.
So an herb and some gold. I note it appears to be Linguar versus Lolo here in terms of our sprite choices today.
Yes, as far as the character sprites. So the magic key, they'll use that to get outside the door here. They have an herb that'll help heal some hit points, and they have some gold they're going to use to hopefully purchase some items here, although in the early going, it looks like a town is barren, or at least one not readily available. So Mr. Holmes, he's going to go ahead and fight the red slime, taking 2 experience, looking for a total of 5 to get to the next level. Z-Man, meanwhile, going to save, try to hang on to that 747 gold.
Meanwhile, we see a ghost here. Oh, the ghost with the dodge. You should be able to chip away at this ghost here, even with that dodge. Going to use the herb just to be safe. Looks like the ghost can do 2 to 4, so... And he does defeat the ghost. Level 2 incoming. Mr. Holmes.
So 5 power, 10 speed, 25 hit points, and 4 magic points, plus the spell of Hurt More as well as
Hurt More just for good measure. Wow.
So we are off to the races.
Yes, already red slime's running away from Mr. Holmes here. I guess try to chip away at this poltergeist? Or maybe just taking the death sent back to town.
While they were able to get the spell Hurt More costing 5 MP and only starting with 4, not even enough to be able to cast it once.
Yeah, something he took the death to refill his MP, so he at least has 1 cast of it now.
And Z, getting the good news as well, is going to opt to speak to the man known as George here in Tantagel Castle to replenish the MP, so it can save some of that money.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes using that Hurt More, going to level 3. 0 agility! I love it! Does Hover learn the spell of Repel? And of course, the first town he finds is Hawksnest.
To answer that in chat for Game Boy F9, yeah, that actually was created, I want to say, back in either the League or maybe even last year's tournament by Ryusation. And I decided to pick up that proverbial ball and run with it.
Yeah, Mr. Holmes just scouting for information and finds out it's the fun police. Wii U.
Yeah, the Red Dragon, whenever they show up, the fun generally tends to stop, and not as nice this time around as they were in the previous race that we saw here earlier this evening on Randomania 2.
Meanwhile, Z-Man doesn't even get that far. He gets punched by a golem, punched right back to the castle. Those golems hit hard as well. And level 4 brings 0 agility! I love it!
So apparently the agility is going to be a bit of a thing, at least here in the early going, or I should say the lack of it is. But now here comes level 3 for Z as level 5 now for Mr. Holmes. There's the agility, 17.
Yes, all the agility was just saved up for that one level, apparently. Which, in the long run, it all does kind of tend to average out a little bit here in the Dragon Randomizer. So not a huge surprise, given the complete lack of agility in the previous 2 levels. So it looks like our runner kind of taking 2 different paths here, although I imagine this giant swamp is going to stop Mr. Holmes from exploring too much further that way.
Yeah, no ability to heal as of yet, and oh, there's a...
He does manage to see a town, but as you mentioned, no healing of any kind once he used that herb, which I believe he did use on that ghost to get to level 2, so...
Now Z opting to kind of go blow for blow here to take out the Magidrake, wanting to save that MP for something else. Probably to use hurt more on a much more juicy enemy. The Red Dragon would not be the juicy enemy we're looking for.
Red Dragon, not that enemy, no. Yeah, Z-Man still with the 1 hurt more left. He's going to try to make that count.
The Skeleton's not a bad one. Gets you 25 experience. Not quite enough for level 5, but certainly up there. Now only needing 19 experience more to get there.
Yep, and then Z-Man also taking the Death Warp back to refill his MP. Apparently deciding with the hurt more that the gold now not so important. There's another 13 agility via level 6 and also 0 HP! I love it!
And there is the growth there to level 5 by Z, and we've got the town of Coal in the swamp.
So this will be big. 4 steps south of the swamp he's going to search, and he finds Erdrick's armor. That's a big early find. Doesn't have to worry about that swamp killing him anymore. I'm going to check the shop here, find some magic armor, and he's going to pick up the copper sword.
The best armor in the game. It does so many different things.
It does indeed. Yes, I did mention he found magic armor, but that, of course, is useless with the Erdrick's armor, so...
Well, it's not useless, just less significant, we'll put it that way. I mean, the Erdrick's armor, it has so many different benefits. It not only has the best defense of any armor at 28, but it also, well, it negates the damage done by those swamp tiles as well as the barrier tiles, so instead of 2 or 15 damage, you take 0 damage. I'm sure that...
I love it!
Hurt more...
Go ahead.
Looks like Discord was being Discord for a second there, as we've got some gold in the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave for Z-Man. Also, the Erdrick's armor, it reduces the damage done by the Hurt and Hurt More spells, as well as the Fire Breath and Dragon Lord 2 Breath. It also negates the spell of Stop Spell, and it heals 1 hit point for every step that you walk.
Yes, it is truly some legendary armor in this game. To the point that the 28 defense, it is the best defensive item in the game, but that's almost the least useful thing it does, quite frankly.
There is level 6 now for Z-Man. And he's going to get his look at Cole and get the armor.
Yes, indeed. He's going to take a look at the shop here. Imagine he'll pick up a copper sword as well. He might as well. And yes, he does. Copper sword gives an extra 10 attack power, which is not a huge amount, but can be helpful in just chipping away some of the lower mid-tier enemies that you may not necessarily want to waste a hurt more on.
Yeah, ideally they're looking for an enemy like an Axe Knight. As I say that, there's one from MisterHomes. And is able to take it out for another 130, and that's going to get Holmes up to level 8.
Another 11 power. You learn...
Bell?
Learn Sleep. Meanwhile, poor Z-Man waiting for this guy to finish his shopping so he can move up in line. Gets there, pick up the Dragon Scale, another 2 free defense power, you can basically say.
And now another town for Mr. Holmes, and it's Rimeldar. We have keys.
Keys! But yes, that's a big find. That's going to open up, among other things, the Tanagel Treasury for him. Really opens up quite a few things. Opens up Garen's Grave once he finds it. Opens the back of Tanagel. Another potential cave spot.
It allows access to quite a few different treasure chests as well as other potential caves.
Yes, indeed. Looks like he's going to check the Rimeldar chests here. See what he gets. And more gold for more keys. Definitely not the worst thing to see.
Well, the more of these treasure chests that are being found with gold, the less likely that there will be gold in the Tanagel Treasury, which can be utilized to set up a treasure chest glitch to basically print money.
Yes, indeed. Money or items. The very brief explanation of the way it works is that instead of permanently removing chests once you pick up a chest, the game kind of shuffles it off into different memory, essentially to try and prevent the soft lock, where you open a chest with a key item, your inventory's full, you accidentally say you don't want the item. So instead of saying, well, oops, congratulations, no, you can't finish your file, the game just kind of shuffles it off and it will reload the chest when you basically exit and re-enter the area. The thing is, there's only a limited number of slots for this memory, and if you can fill that memory when you go to open another chest, the game says, well, I can't move this chest, so I just won't, and you can grab the chest as many times as you want.
So yes, any chest to open beyond that 9th chest can be taken over and over again, so you can allow for an item grind of either herbs or keys. Also, well, there's an armored knight taking out Mr. Holmes. But ideally, what they're looking for is a gold grind. And we're in the mountain cave for Z-Man. I missed what the upper chest was.
It was the death necklace for Z-Man. He also found the fun police on the first floor, but he got away. That is very fortunate. It'll be even more fortunate if there's some other key item in the mountain cave here.
So treasure chests being opened all over the place. The treasury in Tanagel having a fighter's ring, fairy water, silver harp, and torch for Mr. Holmes. Meanwhile, the death necklace and wings for Z-Man in the mountain cave, and that's as far as he's going to get because of the blue dragon.
So this will be interesting to see if he decides to take another attempt at that. My instinct would be with the red dragon on the first floor. I would probably avoid that for as long as I could until I realize, okay, I absolutely have to dive it again, or I'm fortunate enough that I have everything and I don't need to dive it again. It looks like he's going to make another crack at it.
Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes going to the back of Tanagel Castle, and it is the Tablet Cave, a free treasure chest at the end of a roughly 20 to 25 second walk.
And it's empty, meaning it was either herbs or keys, depending on what Mr. Holmes was full up on there. And yes, Pyrolite noting in chat, that does mean there is no gold grind in play here. No way of reaching a chest with gold in it once you set up the glitch, so. Meanwhile, Z-Man does make it to the other chest, finding an herb and a key. He's got one more chest to open up here.
So both of our runners with access to keys now, and Holmes is in the mountain cave as well. And he gets away from a red dragon.
Finding another blue dragon and opts to fight it. Okay.
I think that was a miss key.
Oh, I think I know what he's doing. I think he realizes he's got the glitch set up. Oh, yep, he almost left. Trying to make it. No, okay. Interesting. What I was going to say was I thought Z-Man realized he'd opened enough chests for the chest glitch to take effect and was going to check out what was actually in the treasury, but given that, I'm a little confused why he didn't at least try for the Hail Mary Hurtmores on the Blue Dragon there. Blue Dragons are about a 50-50 shot to connect on a Hurtmore, and you would need to hit with 2 of them, but approximately 1 in 4 chance of survival was still better than the 0 chance he had of surviving the fight with attacking the way he did, so...
Well, not knowing if they had sleep certainly didn't help as well, and now Z gonna work on a little grind out here in the overworld, perhaps looking to squeeze out another level and hoping for heal more to come, possibly? Since he's right near Hawksness?
Maybe. Meanwhile, MisterHomes does get to that last chest, and it's more gold.
Alright, so we have already full cleared, and looking at Mr. Holmes's inventory a little bit ago, we were able to confirm the tablet cave having a magic key. So already the only treasure chest not in the final castle of Sharlock, we just have the 3 in the back of Garenham and the 5 in Garen's grave, as now Mr. Holmes getting up to level 9. 11, 12, 3, 2, and a new spell. Well, we've got heal.
Not heal more, but it isn't nothing. That any ability to heal can be a good thing, especially if you're trying to run away from Armored Knights, which Mr. Holmes does not succeed in doing. And Tylo pointing out in chat that Z-Man may have just been trying to get out of Mountain Cave, which is fine, except I don't believe he ever discovered what was in the last chest, which we know is just gold, but I'm not sure he knows that at this point.
And Z confirming that it is in fact a magic key. Meanwhile, a little bit more money for Mr. Holmes, thanks to the Vanilla Stones of Sunlight Cave.
Guess he can do a slow grind if he really wants to there. Just exit and re-enter and grab the chest repeatedly.
Yeah, there is the possibility of getting a little Johnny Rivers on, slow grinding, swaying to the music. We'll see.
Yes, I am not afraid to say I have performed that slow grind more than once.
Hey, depending on the seed, it's one of those you gotta do what you gotta do type scenarios.
Yes, indeed. Not looking super necessary with this seed, particularly with the Hurtmore available. But sometimes you gotta get that broadsword or flame sword or whatever to give yourself that little power boost to be able to kill things.
Or even a quick way to get a large shield, potentially.
Yes, in the previous race, we saw someone, was it? I don't remember if it was the actual previous race, but earlier today, definitely, we watched someone perform the slow grind for the large shield full plate combo.
Yes, that was the previous race here. I believe that was Nitsky who had done that, having not yet found Erdrick's armor.
It was.
I remember things. This is the second of 3 races I'm commentating tonight, so I'm doing my best to make sure that the different races don't get mixed up and jumbled up in my brain here.
Fair enough. Z-Man just doing a little bit of exploration here.
Trying to do a little bit of an exploring grind along the way here, although MisterHomes, well, he is enduring a fire breath from the Magiwyvern and says, here, take a hurt more, sit down, and give me my 83 experience.
Yes, I believe Magiwyverns might be the strongest enemy you're guaranteed to kill with one hurt more.
That is correct.
Okay.
There are others that can give you more experience, but it's not a slam dunk that you can one-shot them with a hurt more. Then that's more of your dicier enemies like a Green Dragon or an Axe Knight. And we've got the Overworld Search tile, and not this time, but the Sparkover Bridge being searched there as it's a bridge to a single tile. And we've got a town and Charlock, the Big C, and it's Brecconary, or as Z-Man would say, oh look, Brecconary.
There is a broadsword for sale, however, which MisterHomes picks up. That adding another 10 attack power on top of the Copper Sword's 10 for a total of 20.
Ooh, Z able to absorb the damage done by the Armored Knight and is able to double hurt more to take it out for 172 experience.
Finds another cave here. He finds the Staff of Rain cave. And he's just going to go ahead and turn in the Silver Harp, or the Staff of Rain. One of the items that's absolutely required to beat the game. The other two being the Stones of Sunlight and Erdrick's Token, which you then turn in all three items to get the Rainbow Drop, which is how you open up access to Charlock.
So here is level 9 for Z-Man, going to be thrilled to see the heal spell. Meanwhile, level 10 over for MisterHomes. So things moving at a pretty swimming pace here. Not quite Michael Phelps, but pretty close. Maybe a Ryan Lochte pace?
Indeed. I also note that it appears that level 10 gave us 0 power! I love it! MisterHomes now finding Garanham. Here's the Flame Sword and the Silver Shield. Unfortunately, no gold grind in play, so...
But there will be the access to the 3 treasure chests behind the door in Garanham, so more potential finish items here. Ooh, Spectres with Dragon Lord Breath. We've got a torch.
Another torch. And a third torch? And no, it's some fairy water. Okay.
And there goes the triple torch dream.
Yes, indeed. Alright, neither runner picking up a small shield, which is interesting. Guess holding out hope that somewhere a large shield will be available, but...
So the back of Garanham is Garen's grave.
Yes, indeed.
Because you would expect it to be somewhere other than where it normally is.
Right, in the grave we have some gold, we have some wings, and chest number 3 is more gold. Well then.
And already that is 6 of the 7 gold chests being found throughout the land here. and none of them accessible in Tangential Castle.
Indeed. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Stones of Sunlight have to be in one of the 2 chests down deeper in the grave here.
You would be correct. Just that quickly, we're not even a half hour into this seed, and all of the chests that are not in Charlotte Castle have been spotted, analyzed, or otherwise.
Yes, indeed. So the token can be in a chest, but it won't necessarily be. It can also be in one of the search spots, in Coal, in Hawksness, or somewhere on the world map. Stones of Sunlight. And speaking of the Stones of Sunlight, Mr. Holmes finds them. I'm going to say the Stones of Sunlight have to be in a chest, and obviously they can't be in Charlock because you need the Stones of Sunlight to get to Charlock.
So one more treasure chest to find, and our runners are going to make that dive because one of the things still eluding our runners is Erdrick's Sword, the best weapon in the game.
Yes, the Erdrick's Sword gives a total of 40 attack power, which is 12 more than the next best weapon, which is the Flame Sword. It is not strictly necessary to beat the game, but we have seen seeds where people don't get the Erdrick's Sword, but those tend to have extremely, extremely high strength. And generally speaking, if you can find it pre-Charlock, you're gonna go look for it. That is not Erdrick's Sword, that is a corset for Sparkover.
So a cursed belt being found. So that confirms that Erdrick's Sword is somewhere in Tangential Castle, so I think it's a little early to play the game, but it is early enough to announce that the game can occur, as we jokingly call it the 25,000 gold pyramid game. The guessing game of where Erdrick's Sword will be. Now, inside Charlotte Castle, which we're still a little ways away from accessing, in the final basement of Charlock, there are 6 treasure chests arranged in a pyramid format. We kind of joke the different values, almost like the old $25,000 pyramid game show from back in the 80s. So which of the chests will it be? The $50 chest in the bottom left, the $100 chest in the bottom middle, the $150 in the bottom right, the $200 chest in the middle left, the $250 in the middle right, or the $300 up top, or is it going to be in its vanilla location known as the judge's table?
Yes, I just posted some required listening music when we get there. Meanwhile,
Brilliant.
glad you like it.
I don't just like it, I love it.
Meanwhile, both our runners have found the corset for Sparkover. Mr. Holmes apparently was trying to walk out, and Z-Man started, I think, trying to find an enemy to kill him so he could death warp out. Didn't seem to be going so well on the 4th floor, so he might just be trying to walk out now as well.
So now that all the chests have been found outside of the castle, that also means that one of 2 places will have the Erdrick's token that our runners are looking for. It'll either be in the overworld somewhere via some coordinates that'll be provided by an old man in Cantlin behind a locked door, or it will be guarded by an enemy in the abandoned town of Hawksness.
Yes, and we know, thanks to Mr. Holmes, that that enemy is a red dragon, the fun police, which is not what you want to see there, especially when you don't have heal more. Some of the other enemies you can hurt more, or with something like an armored knight, you can double hurt more, or even a blue dragon, you can try for the double 50-50. Red dragons are essentially immune to hurt more. They have a 15 out of 16 resistance, I believe. So you have to chip them down, and they hit hard. And we don't know what other abilities they might have.
But they're probably not fun.
Correct. So that's going to basically be a no-go unless someone decides to either pray for an excellent move, or they just wait until they learn.
I'll speak of the red dragon, and again, able to get away, but I mean, look at that agility, 76 already here at level 10.
At this point, they are better than 50-50 to run from everything, except I believe Armored Knights and Red Dragons. Speaking of Armored Knight, hitting the jump on poor Mr. Holmes there.
And here comes level 11 for Mr. Holmes. 7 power, 2 speed, 3 hit points, 2 magic points, no spells. And Z-Man now finding the swamp cave. Chat currently having a little fun with the old pyramid game show theme, and I don't know. I think that I'm better off singing solo that nobody can hear it.
I was actually in choir for a bunch of years in school, so there is that. Meanwhile, Mr. Holmes finding Cantlin was the one town we hadn't come across yet, and he finds the large shield. I'll pick that up. It is probably going to be as good as his defense gets.
That's still an additional 10 defense. I mean, you see now up to 79. Not the greatest, but it can get it done.
Noting a couple people in chat trying to find creative ways to incorporate the link that I put in onto the stream. Meanwhile, here, Z-Man getting level 11.
A chiptune version of the pyramid theme. Well, McGrew, challenge accepted for version 2.3. Or challenge issued. Whether you accept it or not, that's on, well, here we go. Coordinates, 71 south and 15
west, I believe.
West.
Said. So what that means is that the Hawksnest spot is going to be empty. No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
One could be a fairy flute, the other could be the token.
Correct.
But if the fairy flute is in a treasure chest and it's in Charlotte Castle, then yes, one of those spots would be empty.
Meanwhile, Z-Man is literally a gold. He's $1 short, quite literally, of being able to get that broadsword. And unfortunately, the way selling your weapons works, the shopkeeper doesn't care if you have a weapon that you can sell for gold. You still need the full amount to buy whatever you want before he will take your old item and give you the gold for it. So Mr. Holmes, with that information, it looks like he's going to rescue our fair princess here. Don't know how Gwaelin's going to feel about being rescued by a Lingwar, but that is neither here nor there.
And the Guardian tile looks to be an armored knight.
Gets away from the fun police. Now, this is going to be interesting. Is he going to go for the double hurt more here? He is. Okay. When you run from the spiked tile, even if you're coming from the direction of rescuing the princess, it kicks you back to the square before it, which is to say it would kick him a square north, so he wouldn't necessarily have had to fight that armor knight the second time if he thought he could get away. Another 16 power, 0 HP! I love it! But more importantly, he learns outside.
Well, that makes that easy. Meanwhile, we have a question in chat. Can you ever accidentally or purposely downgrade your weapon by buying a weaker one, like a hand axe or a bamboo pole? The answer to that is you most certainly could. And noting it here, so Z-Man could have downgraded by selling his copper sword for more money than whatever he bought. Well, yes, he could have bought maybe a bamboo pole and then gotten the copper sword for half the price at 90, and that would have given enough for the broadsword prior to the death. That is a, dare I say, a bold strategy, Cotton.
Yes, but if there's also a veteran move if you're savvy enough to actually make that play, which I don't think I would be in that situation, quite frankly. So, but yes, that is certainly a thing you can do. It is something I have seen done once or twice in races.
Yes, as noted by Game Boy F9, the selling the Erdrick sword strategy works much better in Chaos mode because prices are randomized. Well, the mode formerly known as Chaos is now the individual options that from what were known as Chaos mode are now individually selected in the current version of Dragon Warrior Randomizer.
Yes, when we get new people asking what's randomized in the Dragon Warrior Randomizer, a lot of the times we'll give the somewhat glib answer, what isn't randomized, which is kind of true, but there actually still is a lot of stuff that's the same, which namely the item prices and their statistics, all of the prices. And the Chaos mode used to just shuffle basically everything around. Item prices, enemy hit points, enemy experience in gold, and so on. With the newest versions of the randomizer, those have been separated out into individual flags. So you can do, I suppose, 50% chaos if you so chose.
Now, level 12 for Mr. Holmes, and that got all the rest of the spells. Stop spell, outside, and heal more. So Holmes now back in Hawksness and is going toe-to-toe with this red dragon that, it has heal.
Remember when I said we didn't know what else it had? Heal/heal more is what I was thinking of when I said that. He's just going to try to keep punching away at it, though. That did not work out for him.
Well, the issue or challenge with that is if you go and attempt to use a stop spell there, then you run out of heal mores. So he was hoping to just be able to outpunch it and was unable to do so.
Yes, the good news is it looks like it is pretty stop spellable. That's now a word. 3 out of 16 stop spell resistance, which is not that bad. Does mean you're going to be burning extra MP if you decide to try and make this a grind.
But Holmes, meanwhile, just hopping right back on in there and going to go ahead and give it another go. A small shield purchase, meanwhile, on Z-Man's side.
Small shield, I believe, is 4 defense power. Is better than nothing.
Yeah, every little bit helps.
Yes, I've definitely purchased small shields before. I purchased bamboo poles. I purchased clothes. Especially at the start of a difficult seed, that extra 2 attack power can honestly be the difference between this is impossible and okay, I can at least consistently chip shot this thing for 1.
Ooh, and a red dragon ending the fun for Z-Man.
Holmes' problem now is his low maximum HP, but he does defeat the red dragon. He's going to search, and there is the token. Means by process of elimination, the fairy flute has to be on the overworld.
Wow, so all Holmes needs to do is trade in the silver heart for the Staff of Rain, and then go back to, I believe we found where the Rainbow Drop Cave was, or have we yet? Now is where I'm starting to get these seeds confused.
I believe we have, but I forget where it was.
And then from there, Holmes is essentially in grind and go mode.
Yes, indeed. It'll be interesting to see, especially with that red dragon. I imagine what he's going to try to do might be a quick dive into Sharlock, not necessarily to try to win, because he's not particularly close stat-wise, but just to see if he can get the sword, maybe grab some information about the mini-boss, or even just some of the endgame enemy packs that'll help him out for when he does decide to make his dive for victory.
And we want to thank those of you joining us here from the main Randomania channel. This is a Dragon Warrior Randomizer tournament race. This is the second week of Swiss-style rounds. It's Z-Man versus MisterHomes. Alongside EmptyEye, I'm Fearon Burgundy, and we are almost 45 minutes into the seed, and for the moment it looks like, in terms of both exploration and levels, that MisterHomes has the overall lead. To answer the question in chat, the Swamp Spike tile is an Armored Knight.
Yes, it's actually a very small experience advantage, and I would agree with you that he has the exploration advantage as well, but it's far from insurmountable at this point.
Oh yeah, as I had said that was prior to the move up to level 12, so it looked like it was a lot more than it was, but now the differential, not even 100? So experience pretty even, and it's just a matter of finding a few extra things that, actually, as I say that, no, yeah, it's just a matter of finding a token at this point. So the lead is slight for MisterHomes, but only slight.
And yes, people in chat noting that the Swamp Cave is looking pretty tempting for a grind with the Armored Knight there. I certainly wouldn't want to be messing with a red dragon with heal. But that's just me.
And now back to Breckenary for Holmes to replenish the sources. Or resources, I should say. And now into Hawksness goes Z-Man. So if he's able to take out this red dragon, he'll be able to get the token, and that'll be acquire Rainbow Drop and grind and go mode.
Yes, we see Red Dragons just kind of roaming the overworld here. MisterHomes' side.
Oh no, and Z-Man unable to get away from the golem, run failed twice.
Well, that is unfortunate. I don't recall what the agility threshold is for golems being able to run away from them somewhat reliably, but it's not that high, I don't believe. 79 should be enough.
The golem has an agility of 60, so I think that was... While I don't know all the run calculations, I think that was a little bit of misfortune on Z-Man's part.
We just tried noting in chat. There's 79 agility and double run fail. The golem, Z-Man probably. I would have to agree with that. Like you said, Fearon, that was rather unfortunate on his part.
And JJ Schmidt asking in chat, are we 100% that Short is in Charlock? That is correct. So we're down to the final 7 treasure chests, and one of them contains the best weapon in the game. Erdrick's token, to answer the question in chat, is in Hawksness. It is guarded by a red dragon, which Z-Man is currently trying to go after.
Holmes now finding the Staff of Rain cave. Trade in the harp for the Staff of Rain. Z-Man taking a shot at this red dragon here. I'm not sure he's aware that it has heal.
Oh, and a bit of... Oh, wow. More misfortune for Z-Man, as he was actually max rolled by that red dragon. The dragon hitting for anywhere from 20 to 41 hit points, and it max rolled for 41.
Alright, that's the other concern with the red dragons, is they still hit hard, and both of our runners have, even though they have a hit point focused build thanks to their names, 63 hit points is really not a lot for fighting red dragons. You're going to have to either get very lucky with some of their rolls, or just take a risk and swing when there is the chance of it killing you, as Z-Man did there.
Well, Z only... Well, yeah, just approaching level 13. It might behoove him, as we're going to find out what the gains are here. 2 power, 6 speed, 5 hit points, 33 magic points. I mean, those 5 additional HP, that allows a little bit of wiggle room. Maybe go get 13, go back, try it again at it. Or see if there's a large shield here in Oh Look Breckenary. Except you only have 376 gold, so that won't quite work out so well.
You can buy 3/8 of the sword, or the shield, I guess.
But you figure that additional 6 defense would certainly, again, chip away at it between those two things, and there is not a shield there anyway.
It is true, it would take a tiny bit off the top end. Lower the overall average a bit.
So now to the swamp cave here, and Z-Man wanting nothing to do with the red dragon. But The red dragon wanting everything to do with Z-Man, and triple run fail, and back to the castle you go. I mean, at this point, Z, you're 99 away from the next level. At least get it. That's something it wouldn't hurt to do, is just at least see, okay, maybe this next level, granted, doesn't give me any more spells, but for all he knows, there could be a 20 HP boost, and that fight against the red dragon will be considerably easier. Now just one more enemy away, 21 experience away from level 13. But meanwhile, this is allowing MisterHomes to just wail away on a bunch of different enemies here. Navigating his way through the dark. And there is the Rainbow Drop Cave.
So MisterHomes now officially in grind and go mode.
Z-Man not too far behind, just in grind a little bit, take out that red dragon, get the rainbow drop, then grind some more and go.
Yes, and meanwhile, it looks like MisterHomes is going to try to do some grinding on this Armored Knight. No. Runs into the unlucky Hurt More resistance there.
Well, and a note in chat of it being more find and go mode. Well, they both know at this point that Erdrick's sword is somewhere in Charlotte Castle. So, seeing as they have hurt-moreable enemies, as Z-Man now going to level 13, getting a huge MP boost, they pretty much know that, alright, once they go into the castle, they're going to make their way down to the treasury, grab the sword, and go for game. So it's more of a little slight detour errand on the way. And now I'm curious as to what Z is looking for. Unless he hasn't found Cantlin yet and is looking for the coordinates. If that's the case, that might be a huge misdirection. Now, don't forget, if you're enjoying what you're seeing here, to make sure to give a look, as the link is there in the Twitch chat, to acquire the randomizer yourself and give it a try, maybe tweak around with the different settings. And if you want to get some tips and tricks, maybe race some of the other folks, as there are a lot of individuals who are involving themselves in this, you can join the Dragon Warrior Randomizer Discord.
Yes, there are a lot of people there, and there are Dragon Warrior randomizer races going off basically every day. There are also randomizers for Dragon Warriors 2 through 4, although those games are a little bit more complicated than Dragon Warrior 1, of course.
Oh, and Z-Man has found the coordinates. And yes, by process of elimination, those coordinates are going to lead to the Fairy Flute.
So we'll see if he decides to gamble on the coordinates, or if he continues to beat his head against the red dragon in Hawksness.
Meanwhile, we have the level up here for Mr. Holmes, but perhaps stepping away as maybe having a moment as it happens to all of us at some point of having to answer nature's call in the middle of a race. Or maybe something else IRL.
Yes, last night, if you noticed, my emulator suddenly going to 25% speed and pausing. That was because Mario the Cat decided to turn my race into a FAS, a feline assisted speedrun. He hopped up on my laptop keyboard.
Oh no.
He's sitting down here next to me right now.
Alright, so Z-Man has picked up a large shield here in Cantlin. So now this is a huge decision time. Does he go back and try to go after the red dragon, or does he try to look for those coordinates?
Yeah, decisions, as my wife, who is also sitting next to me, says. Question in chat, Mario the Cat. Yes, my cat's name is Mario. And we got him and named him prior to the release of Super Mario 3D World. And speaking of...
down!
Hello!
A little bit of feline-assisted commentary as well, apparently.
Yeah, indeed, he said hi.
So looking at the numbers here, with 82 defense, the Red Dragon only hitting for only, I say that tongue-in-cheek, hitting for a range of 19 to 39. With those 68 max HP, though, it's still, it's rather dicey. I mean, once 14 comes with that nice 15, or 16, I should say, HP boost, that might be the time to go for it here.
Yeah, I think with the extra HP from level 14, that's probably the time you're going to want to take a shot at it, because that'll give you basically the guarantee of being able to alternate attacking and casting heal more.
Well, even still getting a nice minimum roll there and chipping away, and there's the heal. A little bit of a debate on the part of Z, and heals on both sides here. There's the stop spell. To answer the question in chat, yes, we do know that Erdrick's sword is in Charlotte Castle.
And Mr. Holmes, it looks like, is going to try to dive for the sword / information here. And getting another unlucky hurt more on the Armored Knight. Wow.
Yes, at this point, our runners, Mr. Holmes is pretty much in grind and go mode. Z-Man is just looking for Erdrick's token. And this is where a coin flip of a decision is occurring, as he has the coordinates to the overworld, and it looks like he's going to go rescue the princess, and that's going to lead him to the fairy flute, as opposed to the red dragon in Hawksness, not too far from the start. guarding Erdrick's token, which is what he's looking for. This is going to be rather disappointing for Z here. It's like going up to the roulette wheel in a casino, putting the money on black, and no, it comes up red.
Yeah, I can't say with his current stats I blame him for the decision necessarily, but he is not going to like what he finds there.
Yeah, given the numbers, it's the statistical play. It's just it's just the result. The end result is not going to be ideal.
All right, and sometimes that's just what happens with Dragon Warrior Randomizer. You make you make the correct long-term play, and in the short term, it just bites you in that specific seed.
Now, he is right here, as Tilo noting, I bet he still goes to Hawksness now, and, well, here we go.
There's a lot of MP, and he does now have the knowledge that Red Dragons have heal. Meanwhile,
so, yeah, he'll be able to throw a stop spell from the start and go for it.
Meanwhile, the level up for MisterHomes, 4142, still a little bit short on the HP. Attack power will be decent enough, but only 88 hit points, not ready to go take on the Dragon Lord just yet.
So while we don't know what the level is going to be, we know that 15 is not it.
Correct. Sigma fan in the chat noting he needs at minimum another 9 HP to go, and that is correct. The general minimum that you're looking for is 97 hit points for taking on Dragon Lord 2. The idea being that way you'll be guaranteed to survive 2 max damage Dragon Lord breaths, which will do 48 each. There are situations, this may be one of them, I don't actually know the exact calculations off the top of my head, where on the top end, the Dragon Lord can actually attack for more than 48 damage. Frankly, I don't worry about that so much when I factor my calculations in. Maybe I should. But generally speaking, 97 is what you're going to want.
Well, at 84 defense, that would currently be a range for the Dragon Lord's second form melee attack of 24 to 49. So unless level 6 brings 0 agility, which you will love, then it should be good to go. MisterHomes should be on not having to worry about that defensive calculation.
Okay, that's good to know.
Video games. Sometimes it's pushing buttons, and sometimes it's numbers too. So Z has picked up the token and is now heading to, I would imagine, the Swamp Cave to go to the other side and pick up the Rainbow Drop. But you can see in the time that it's taken to do that, the experience lead for MisterHomes has expanded to roughly 2,800.
Yes, nearly 3,000 here. So, while we have MisterHomes in kind of grind mode here, and Z-Man walking to go get his Rainbow Drop, I'll give a quick shout out to our restreamer Sparkover and our tracker Migru, who also He's the main architect of the Dragon Warrior Randomizer. So, if you don't like your particular seed, or you think something wasn't random enough, you can go ahead and credit/blame him.
Yes, McGrew is the proverbial Frankenstein behind that which we know as Dragon Warrior Randomizer, and if not for his creation here, we would not be here doing this commentary. And the question, chat, how behind does Z-Man feel? I can't speak for Z-Man personally, but knowing that I'm going up against MisterHomes, I would have felt behind about 1 second into the seed.
Yes, MisterHomes, a formidable opponent, as you noted, actually won the 2016 tournament. It was the very first tournament, if I recall correctly.
Correct. He did win the inaugural tournament here, and I believe he finished in the top 3 the other 2 years. So either top 3 or 4. So I mean, he is definitely. It was by no means a fluke victory the first year around.
Meanwhile, we see Wizards with Dragon Lord Breath. It's interesting. Wizards tend to be some of the least dangerous enemies in Charlock, but not when they have Dragon Lord Breath, they're not. And Green Dragons, I think we said, they also have Dragon Lord Breath. We see here on the stream, apparently Wizards also have a 50% heal cast once they get low on HP, which is great. By great, I mean it's not great at all for our runners. And so we see here Z-Man getting his rainbow drop. He's now in grind and find and go mode, if you will. MisterHomes getting put to sleep by the blue dragon, staring down eternity.
All right, so about a 2,900 experience lead at the moment, almost 3,000. So Z's going to go ahead and chip into this here. Question in chat, was it Game Boy who won the last... Game Boy is the defending 2-time champion here. Game Boy F9 winning both last year and the year prior. This is the 4th annual Dragon Warrior Randomizer Summer Tournament.
Yes, Tylo noting in chat that MisterHomes got himself up to 1,000 SRL points. Hasn't raced much, which means his score has decayed, but is still ranked number 2 on Speedruns Live. Which SRL points are not the be-all, end-all for various reasons, but that gives you a rough idea of the quality of player MisterHomes is at this game.
So Holmes now deciding to go after the Red Dragons here.
Yes, this next one will give him level 16. Providing he defeats it, of course. He shouldn't have a problem doing.
I'm sure he's just going through the calculations and realizing, all right, I just have to keep my hit points above 39, and I can withstand any melee attack. And oh, an excellent dodge!
A critical miss, as I like to call it. Because for whatever reason, this game calculates whether or not you got a critical hit before it calculates whether the enemy dodged your attack or not. So that's one of the worst sounds in the game. Maybe the worst.
The Kaishin Negata for those across the ocean.
There's, I believe, 4 hit points he got, so still not there, although his attack power is going to be great by the end of this.
So level 17 will be the level, it looks like. Unless there's some sort of minuscule gain there as well.
Yes, with all this strength and agility and I suppose even magic, this might be a situation where even if you get only like 3 or 4 hit points to take you up to 95 or 96, you might consider risking it and trying, basically taking the gamble and taking on DL2 anyway, despite what we said earlier.
Figuring you have enough of the heal mores and you're going to be rather beefy. I mean, you see the strength there at 101 at level 16, plus whatever gain you may see here at level 17. Z-Man putting down the rainbow drop, building the bridge over troubled water there like Simon and Garfunkel, and going to go ahead and heal up, and I don't know if it's going to be a grind or if it's going to be a dive. I mean, it can't be at only 108, well, 128 with, I don't know. Z may gamble it here, just knowing the level of opponent that he has here. He probably figures, all right, I haven't seen the dot done yet. It's probably coming soon. But he sees there with the broadsword, 132 attack, but that hit points, they're so low.
It looks like he's gonna at least try to get the sword, I imagine.
You can see now the lead in experience jumping out to about 3,300.
Yes, MisterHomes about 1,000 experience away from level 17.
12,000 the target number, so 904 away from the number to get to level 17. And a good question in chat. No, we have not yet taken the official placements, at least since it was so long ago that we made that determination. I think now it's about time to play the 25,000 gold pyramid game.
Me personally, I always bet on the judges' table.
So I'm going to jot them down as best I can here. A lot of people going judges' table or vanilla here.
A lot of people apparently like me, they just want to see the world burn.
And a note in chat, the Dragon Lord's too poor to afford a proper 100,000 gold pyramid. I think it's more so that the gold tops out at the 65.
Yes, it's the 65,535 gold pyramid, I suppose.
That's the network cap that they have.
Yes, any additional winnings above that go to charity.
I'm waiting for a red dragon to show up because we're having way too much fun with this.
Spark over noting the critical miss on Z-Man's side, the blue dragon. Thankfully, you got the stop spell off prior to that.
Yeah, my other Nick in chat has the right idea. Once you've won the 65,535, you must leave the show, but you can keep anything above that. Hey, it worked for Michael Larson and Press Your Luck back in '84.
There you go.
And for those not familiar, that's the Big Bucks No Whammies game show.
Yes, that is Press Your Luck. So as Mr. Holmes makes his way back into Sharlock here, the reason I say that people who bet on vanilla want to watch the world burn is because in Sharlock, you have the 6 chests down in the treasury, which are not directly in the way, but they're pretty close. And then you have the one vanilla chest, which we call the vanilla chest because that's where Erdrick's sword actually is in the original game, which is quite a bit out of the way. And so, unless you are gambling, you are probably not going to check that chest first, let's put it that way. You are going to make the statistically smart play and check the 6 chests in the treasury, because that's overwhelmingly likely where the sword is going to be in one of the 6 that are not that far out of the way. And very unlikely it's going to be in the one that you wouldn't check in a randomizer situation, unless you absolutely have to, or you're gambling.
Yeah, you're gonna play the odds as you have an 85% chance looking in the pyramid there, as opposed to the roughly 14 or 15% chance, or 14 point something, in looking just in that sole kind of lonely chest off on its own.
Yes, level 17, 25 HP, 32 MP. Mr. Holmes is going, I guarantee it.
Wow, it's go mode. Popping into Oh Look, Breckenary. Spending the 6 gold to stay at the inn. The stats, as you can see there, pretty much all in the green, and the attack power, while it's only at 125, once he goes and finds that Erdrick's sword, that's going to bump up to 145, and that'll be well into the green. But with the high number of MP, I don't know if it's necessarily don't need it and just go with the broadsword, but it's...
Yeah, I feel like with some of the nasty enemies on the way down, it may or may not be something you want to grab.
Yeah, Tilo has it noted here. You don't necessarily need Erdrick's sword, but it probably takes less time to go into the treasury and grab the sword, presuming it's there, than it does to utilize all those extra attacks against the Dragon Lord. And to answer a question in chat, the color coordination. So, in the early part of the seed, you saw numbers that were red. That means they're subpar to start. White means you're making the climb. Orange means borderline, maybe, possibly, you think about it. Green means that those are sufficient stats to be able to go and take on the Dragon Lord.
Yeah, so having played so many Dragon Warrior randomizer seeds throughout the community, we've come up with these ranges. And as you said, orange means kind of sort of depends on the rest of your stats, and green just means you're good to go on that stat. You really don't need anyone else.
So both of our runners are here in Sherlock, and I believe they're both looking to find Erdrick's sword. A little bit of a foot race, although Z trailing by a couple of levels.
It looks like he is going to get down to the basement of Sherlock first. That by itself, unfortunately, is not going to help him very much at the moment. Also, a question earlier in chat, aren't terrible levels called EmptyEye levels? Yes, because very early on, I saw someone get 2 0 stats, 0 growths on a level, and I decided to rip off Smash TV and say 0, whatever it was. 0 first stat, 0 second stat, I love it! And I don't know, either it stuck or I just forced it until it stuck. But regardless, they are now EmptyEye levels. Meanwhile, looks like the Erdrick sword was in middle left or 200 if you're playing the pyramid.
So from what I can see here, at least scrolling back as far as the chat will let me, it looks like Persephone's sidekick. You can have the bragging rights here for the seed.
Seaman refilling his resources. Wizard,
Ian noting in chat that this is pretty much going to be academic once Holmes picks up the sword here.
There it is.
So yeah, now up to 145 attack power.
Yeah, you can see he is so green. If he wants to, he could probably just try a swag overload hurt more or two on Dragon Lord 2, just because.
And that's a little bit of a... I don't know, because you don't know what your opponent's doing, there is that concern that while you're throwing swag down, your opponent may kind of swoop in from underneath of you.
That is very true. I will point out when I have swag YOLO hurt more the Dragon Lord 2, I have always been behind. So it didn't really matter if it did work. But it was always a lot of fun when it did.
Yeah, always a fun little something, a fun little talking point for chat and commentary and everything of that nature. So Z making the dive here. He's going to fight and grind on his way. He thinks that 16 is the level. And to answer the question, the sword automatically equips when you acquire it. Later games, you would have to equip certain weapons, but in this one, it just replaces your old one. And here we go. We are on the first form of the Dragon Lord. Holmes just going to not bother with the first. Figures, all right, I've got plenty of extra heal mores.
And he starts off with a max roll for good measure.
So 22 to start here. It has a range of 150 to 165, now up to 37. And another 20.
Another 20 for good measure, it's fine.
$18 now up to 75. Everything coming up MisterHomes here.
He has plenty of resources to make this work.
92 now, and still has 9 heal mores to go. Oh, there's a low roll, but that puts us up to 104. Oh, he's going for the YOLO hurt more and it hits! Oh my gosh! Unbelievable.
That was incredible. Hashtag YOLO swag overload. I love it.
So Mr. Holmes is going to go up to the promenade here. He is going to get the accolades from the king. Get out your GGs in chat and every other accolade you can give here, as Mr. Holmes is going to win this race with an official Speedruns Live time of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 35 seconds. Oh, and Z-Man just put in the dot quit, the dot forfeit. So Z is going to just kind of end it right here. And Ali Gerbrap, yes, Holmes went for a YOLO hurt more just for swag, and it hit after getting around 100 hit points of damage already. And wow. So we're gonna bring, I believe we're gonna bring both of our runners in here for a post-match chat of this. And wow, I'm just still soaking up that Dragon Lord 2 battle.
Yes, I'm still laughing about it, quite frankly.
Mr. Holmes putting in chat here, hashtag Swaggenlord.
Cannot argue with that.
No.
We'll see if we can get Mr. Holmes here in the commentary booth here to talk a little bit about this one. Z currently in the waiting room. So as we wait here, as we'll get a post-race interview going here, the action not stopping here on Randomania 2, as we've got one more race coming your way. As it looks like, yes, here on Randomania 2, it's going to be Lord of the Synth against Vrayless, and that'll be coming up just approaching the midnight hour here on the East Coast.
Hey guys, thanks
and
for the
I'll be
GGs.
here with you for that, as it's been a keeping the marathon going here and going for the three-peat.
Yes, you got a long night here of Dragon Warrior Randomizer.
Yeah, bring in the trifecta. Well, I mean, we want to be able to present everything, and it has been a bit of a... well, I mean, there's 32 races. It's not the easiest to be able to get everybody available, and since I had the time here, and I figured, all right, why not? Well, I'll go ahead and go for the trifecta here. But we have both of our competitors here in the commentator booth, Mr. Holmes and Z-Man. GG to both of you.
Hey, nicely done, Mr. Holmes. Real well played. Nicely done.
Thank you, sir. And that was a seed that was pure and unadulterated suffering for me. I assume it was very much the same for you.
I don't know if it was pure and unadulterated suffering. I mean, Hawksness did me pretty dirty a couple of times, and Sharlock did me real bad right before you hit the Dragon Lord. But I don't think it was that bad. Especially in light of my first race. I thought it was pretty darn straightforward, except the map was a little screwy.
Yeah, for sure. Basically just was constantly being harassed by blue dragons and red dragons and sometimes golems. Blue dragons, especially at the very end, really, like you said, did me dirty. I had one that put me to sleep for 4 turns and sent me home. And then
did that.
I was on my way back to Sharlock, and I still needed to fight a little bit. So I was fighting a blue dragon, and I had a chance to kill it. And I dodged, and it put me to sleep for 4 turns and killed me again. So I guess recency bias.
So, what are we? We're at about an hour and a half. I probably didn't discover that the blue dragons had sleep until 45, 50 minutes into the seed. And
yeah,
I'm
it
like,
was 25% or something like that.
they slept and wrecked me, I think, twice. But then on the final dive to, the quote unquote final dive, when I was going to go toward the Dragon Lord, I was in Sherlock fighting my way down, and I had a Star Wyvern, right? I've had about 45, 50 HP. Two attacks on a Star Wyvern would do it. Now I low rolled twice, Star Wyvern high rolled twice, sent me back to start.
Yeah, that's frustrating. Like when the enemy you don't expect to do it does it to you. It's just like, no, that's illegal.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's like, wait, what was that? Right. And what level did you finish on, Holmes? Did you finish on 16 or 17?
17 was the level.
Okay.
It was 17,
yeah.
17. So tell us about that Dragon Lord 2 fight, why don't you?
Okay, so first, just to kind of tie off the Xenon question, level 17 gave 25 HP and 32 MP, not like you needed the MP. But yeah, it was the magic level. And I ended up hurt mooring the Dragon Lord just because I could. I was waiting till I did about 100 damage, and yeah, it worked. And that was like the perfect time for that to happen.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, he got the, as he put it in chat, the hashtag Swaggin Lord.
Yeah, I just started cracking up on the commentary when he did that and it hit.
Yeah, I know. I've tried doing that in the past, and people have been like, "Did you do that seriously?" So I made sure I did it at full health, so there was no doubt that was intentional.
Nicely done. Very nice.
Yes, I've done it at the start of fights, but only when I've already known that my fate was kind of sealed. And the one time I did it semi-successfully, it was on my second attempt, and because my attack power as it was so high, my net gain was basically under one attack. But it was a hit.
So how far into the seed did you discover that wizards had Dragon Lord 2 breath?
I'm trying to think. I might have seen one early on, but then I forgot, and I was reminded again during Sherlock. So I want to say I found that out, but then I forgot.
It had to have been 25% though, because I went a good 3-4 wizard fights before I even figured out that they had it. So it really had to be low percent.
Yeah, if I've learned anything from all the practice I've been doing these last couple days, that variance is just insane. Like sometimes you get it like a few times in a row, and then sometimes you don't get it for a while, and you never know unless you're the stats man and can tell us.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed that with the RNG in general in this game. It seems like it has definite pockets where just stuff that has a pretty low chance of happening in aggregate just happens consecutively way more often than I feel like it should.
Yeah, that's variance for you. I mean, there's so many different scenarios like that, right? Like that eventually one of them is bound to happen. And it just seems plain unfair. Yeah, so I was a little disappointed when I discovered that south and east part from start was a dead end, because man, I managed to get to Rimmeldar way earlier than I should have.
So where was Rimmeldar? I never saw it.
So you know, if you so you had Breckenary right next to Sherlock, right?
Right.
And there was like a little wing, just like if you didn't go towards Breckenary and you kept going south, that would take you to a long windy path. It was like right near the south center of the map, like right at the bottom.
Okay, meanwhile, in the race chat or the Randomania 2 chat, you can see the clip of the Swaggin Lord. You have not seen that yet.
Fantastic. Great. I'm so thrilled.
As you can hear my normally smooth baritone jump up about 2 octaves as I start cracking up about it. But
if I can make you laugh, if I can make you laugh, that's an accomplishment for me.
Wow. So now looking at the results here, and as far as the records, I mean, Holmes, Holmes, you fall into some pretty good company at 2-0, and Z, even at 1-1, there's a murderer's row of potential opponents here.
Yeah, 1-1 is not a fun place to be.
I mean, frankly, even the 0-2, there's a lot of good competition down in the 0-2 range at this point. So, I think that shows kind of where the community as a whole is kind of at. There are no easy matchups anywhere in this Swiss bracket here. So,
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like the entire way down Charlock, probably since level 14, I was just feeling incredibly nervous and rushed, and that bad RNG really kind of compounded that feeling. It's just like, I gotta go.
Yeah, I was the same way. It's like, all right, gotta go now. I left the bottom chest of the mountain cave because I got killed trying to get it twice. And I'm like, okay, not meant to be. I'm just gonna leave it.
yeah, I did see you had a blue dragon, I think, and you had basically just started attacking it, if I recall correctly.
It was miss menu. And then as soon as I mismenued once, it's like, crap, I'm dead.
That makes sense. I had wondered why you didn't try the double hurt more, but yeah, once you mismenu the first time, it doesn't particularly matter at that point. Yeah, you might as well just...
And it was such an early level that I wasn't going to run from it. I really didn't have much of a chance. So it's like, okay, well, that's over.
I think the only slightly incompetent thing I did this seed was trying to beat a red dragon with 62 HP.
I did that too.
Was nice. Yeah, the first time I ended up dying after a very, very long fight. And the second one I did because I had the coordinates and I had the princess. And I was like, okay, if the token's in Hawksness, I don't want to go all the way to the coordinates. Then have to go all the way back and then all the way back again for the silver harp and the jerk cave. So I was like, okay, let's just get it out of the way. Turns out it was the token. And I guess I was happy in the long run.
Right, I think you both saved the princess, but neither of you actually ended up using the GPS to get to the coordinates.
Yeah, because I think I had the same idea that Mr. Holmes did. It was, all right, I was at Cantlin. I knew the coordinates. You had to go back through the swamp cave to get back to that area. And it's like, all right, I'm not counting these. Let's get the princess. Let's take another stab at that red dragon in Hawksness. If it's a token, great. If not, well, then at least I have the princess. And I knew it was going to be somewhere in a little south of Breckenary in that winding fun stuff down there. So it's like, all right, it's going to be near Breckenary, nearish the swamp cave, so why not?
That's perfectly logical. I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Okay, boy.
All right. So, any final thoughts here regarding this seed or the tournament in general to this point?
Having low HP, no heal more, and lots of red dragons is just the worst. It is just the worst. It's so frustrating.
It really is. Especially, did you grind it all in the swamp cave on those armored knights at all?
I think I maybe fought like 3 of them, and then I went to Charlock, and then I died, and then I was like, okay, I'll fight red dragons now. So I had like 80 or 90 HP, whatever that was, like that middling sort of value.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say. GG, because I don't think I said it, of course. GG to you.
Yeah, very well done. GG to you, my friend.
Thank you. Looking forward to racing a little bit more, hopefully with you in the near future.
Absolutely.
Yes. All right. Fearon, are you there?
I am here.
You are? Okay.
Yeah,
great.
I didn't want to hop. There was so much going on. I didn't want to necessarily step on anybody here, so I was just kind of picking the spot, letting everything happen. Just Just kind of letting it go here, plus conserving my energy since I'm going to be calling a third race in a matter of about 20 minutes from now.
That is
All
true,
right.
yes.
Well, thanks guys for doing your thing, and thanks Sparko for doing the restream. You guys have been putting in some work, and we definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, make sure to give both of our runners a follow, MisterHomes and Zman050778. They were fantastic here tonight. And make sure to show some love to the folks behind the scenes as well. Sparkover taking care of the restreaming, McGrew taking care of the tracking, and also the creator of this fine Dragon Warrior randomizer, as well as my co-commentator and myself, EmptyEye, and I'm Fearon Burgundy.
Yes, so brief... my chat keeps... Okay, there we go. So brief programming note here. Coming up here on Randomania 2, we have Lord of the Synth and Vralis. We're going to be doing a vanilla overworld map race. And then also on Randomania 1, we have Nest Cardinality versus Brysolf. So we have lots more Dragon Warrior action coming up here. But for now, on behalf of Sparkover, our restreamer, McGrew, our creator and tracker, our runners, Z-Man and MisterHomes, and my co-commentator, Ron Burgundy, I am MTI, and we are signing off for the moment here as Z-Man finishes up the seed. So GG to you as well. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.